Okay, folks, which that is my usual intro. I don't know, I'm just making this video to get some stuff off my chest. But man, it was like a 3-hour drive to get home because they shut off most of the lanes on the freeway for some reason. I don't know if it was construction. There were a bunch of cops out, so it didn't look like there was any accidents or were any accidents. Um, but I stayed a little bit late at work, like an extra hour just to try to get some stuff started, and then I headed home. But it was like it took like 3 hours to get home, and of course, when I'm just about what's that lady doing? When I'm just about sorry, anyway, I'll explain why I looked over, but in a bit. But this is I'm taking the exit to get home, and I was gonna go to the local Walmart and actually buy a couple items I needed, but just as I'm taking the exit, my sister calls, and it's one of those situations where like if I do get a call, her number, and I had it blocked, for a while, but um, I'm thinking like, oh my God, is there some sort of emergency, like. Did my dad's situation change? Did he get worse again? Et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, no, it's because her and my mom are having some conflict, to put it lightly. My mom's, supposedly drunk again, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's sort of like she'll just want to, unload the emotions she's feeling at that point in time and talk about all the stuff that's happening. And I'm sure she's, in all likelihood, being dramatic about, what's going on or what's happening. And you know, yet again, just gonna take whatever's happened and blow it out of proportion and make it seem like it's the end of the world. And oh, if I don't talk to her, this, that, and the other's gonna happen, and etc. And I just like, no, I don't want to talk about it. I got other things going on. Got stuff for my class, got stuff for work, etc. And then it was like when I set that boundary, it was like, no, I'm not doing this. It was like, oh, okay, fine, And then call ended, and I went to the Walmart, bought bought a couple bottles of like body wash, because I gotta replace the stuff that I was using. I basically ran out. So I went and did that, but probably go grab some food in a bit. It's 8:30 right now, 8:33 p.m. exactly. So kind of late, but like I said, it took 3 hours to get back here. I would have been back here around like 5:30, but after all that, parked here, just got off the phone with my dad. I was just checking up on him, seeing how he was, and then emphasizing certain points about the stuff that has to change and things that need to be understood. On the part of my mom and my sister, um, and I had to explain some stuff to him, like why I typically don't take calls when I'm driving. Um, why I don't have like this hands-free Bluetooth thing set up because a couple of speeding tickets I had, and they have sort of this three strikes thing over here. Where if it happens a third time, then potentially they can like suspend your license, and I mean, there's just a whole like series of bad things that can happen. And I mean, the last ticket was way back in like November last year, so it's been about 4 or 5 months. But I have to keep up this sort of clean record since then, because it's sort of this, if you get another one within the next like within like I think it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, something like that of your second infraction essentially, or you get into some sort of collusion, you get into an accident, something of that nature, then you're rated as like too dangerous to a driver, and consequences occur. And I mean, I'm not operating under the conditions that I was at the old job. The first time, I mean, it was a matter of like I was going 90 something on the freeway, trying to get home as soon as possible because, I was like so doggone tired from a 12-hour shift at work. And I was thinking, I just need to get home, stat, and then I can pass out. Second time, it was kind of dumb, put it lightly, because I mean, first time, yeah, you could say that was kind of dumb, but this one was definitely not the best decision because I'd already told my boss I'm going to be in a couple hours late. Just take those, missed hours off my PTO. But then again, I said, oh, I'll be there at 9:30, and I was like, running late, and I ended up even later because obviously I got pulled over and got a ticket. So it really wasn't the best decision making then. But and this was like at a point where I pretty much knew I wasn't gonna be working there anymore. That I, was in the process of getting this job offer, at the place that I'm at right now, locked down. And yeah, so those are those two infractions. But then I basically brought that up to my dad, which, then again, I told him, don't worry about me. Please don't, take this stuff as reason to be, stressed out or worried or anxious because I'm handling it. Nothing's happened since that second ticket. I'm making sure of that, taking all these precautions, blah, blah, blah. But I, told him that because it's kind of like if I tried to explain that to my sister, um, either she's going to be like, well, tough luck, bud, or she's going to be like, you know, oh, here's something I can file away for later to bring up, to put me down when we have some future argument or something of that nature. And she's not going to just understand, like, okay, like, these things happen for XYZ reasons. Some of it was on me, some of it was just the environment I was in. And I'm taking these precautions, which is why I don't have, wireless, hands free, blah, blah, blah set up. I don't typically take calls when I'm driving. I'm taking these precautions because I don't want to take that kind of risk because, I mean, there's a lot of stuff riding on my shoulders right now. It's not just my finances and my life and me, me, me. I'm the only person in the family who has as it stands, stable income. And so if worse comes to worse, like, you know, um, if worse comes to worse, like, it'll fall on me to help out with finances and that sort of thing. Because, again, I'm the only one who, has a job. And I can't be losing my means of transportation to and from work. I can't be getting myself thrown in jail. I can't be, losing my job. I gotta be protecting that sort of stuff because if I don't protect that, then, I mean, there's all these other things that will happen, which, of course, you know, my sister and my mom won't think about until it actually happens. And it's like, oh my God, all these consequences, and they'll be ticked at me in all likelihood. That, oh, I did XYZ dumb thing and I caused it, and it's like, there'll be no like ownership or, accountability. Even then, even if they did, it wouldn't make a difference. So I'm taking these precautions right now to make sure that that stuff doesn't happen. And, I tried to get that point across to my dad that I'm doing that. And, even with the stuff I notified him of, I know him being a father, he's probably still going to be concerned. Even if nothing was happening, he'd still have those thoughts in his mind. Okay, what's happening with my son? That sort of thing. But I still tried to emphasize, I'm informing you, but also, I'll take care of myself. You take care of yourself. That's what I want you to do. Um, and don't worry about me. I'll handle my stuff. I'm just informing you, sort of thing. And I got this. Tried to make this point, get this point across to him about way back when. It's not that long ago. I say way back when, but it was like a couple weeks ago. I think a couple weeks ago is when I had talked to him about my concerns with all this stuff, and then a week later, so it's about a week ago. Time kind of flies fast when I'm working hard and making that money and going to class. But the last couple of weeks or last few weeks, when my dad was, like in the hospital, he's on a rehabilitation facility, so he's basically getting rest and, 3 square meals and all that sort of stuff. Trying to, bounce back or, recover fully. But, when my sister had, and this is in the context, and I had to give context to sort of, be fair about this. But the context was where, my dad was fading in and out of consciousness, going back and forth. And then, it was a case where, like, the brain bleed had gotten larger. It had first gotten smaller, then got large, and it was kind of going back and forth. And it was sort of like, okay, like, is dad going to make it? He's going to bounce back. And I was feeling that, I was feeling uncertain. I was saying, this might be it, or he's in the process of going. Not sure if it's going to really go all the way through and that he'll be gone. And my sister was obviously feeling like, like this is one of those situations where it could go either way. And it was basically asking me, like, if I would help pay the mortgage. And, it's something that it's not like some evil request, but, being that I have read, been exposed to, absorbed, processed, integrated um, certain material over the last few years. Um, I'm not really naming it at this point. I mean, I'm sure those who follow me or have, watched it and watched enough or have read the material themselves probably know what I'm referring to. I had sort of the light bulb go off my head, when that was going on, because essentially it was sort of like, the term monkey branching and the term plow horse, those terms popped in my head, and it was kind of like realizing that, my mother and my sister basically view my dad as a plow horse, and it was a case of like, well, is this plow horse, kicking the bucket? Is this plow horse, keeling over and, fading away, expiring? Oh, crap, we need to get us a new plow horse, and then turning to me and thinking that they can sort of rope me in to be plow horse 2.0. And I had said no to my sister at that point. I said, like, I literally cannot afford to be paying that, Um, I mean, if I looked at my, like, cost of living, per month, even if I made, like, minimum payments on everything, like, I wouldn't even have enough after that. And I could probably try and find ways to, like, cut costs here and there. Oh, eat cheaper food, or, you know, um, cancel whatever subscription I may or may not have to, like, HBO, or to, I think my membership with the YMCA is, like, on hold right now, and they're not even really, functioning right now. So it's, there's no way they're going to be charging me money. I mean, if they tried to, I don't know. But I had it all factored in, potential costs, or like my car insurance, that, that quote unquote subscription to that, or my rent, or, minimum payments for student loans and car loans and all that sort of stuff. Like, I literally would not have the money. Not a matter of, oh, well, I'd rather spend that money on, expensive clothes or a vacation. No, I literally would not have the money. And I was like, no, I can't do this. And I brought that out with my dad now, and it was kind of like the big point has to be gotten across to them that there is no backup, there is no Plow Horse 2.0, there is no sort of like, something they can turn to if you expire, if you're gone. And I tried to use like clean language when I was talking to him, but I was like, they need to understand like how we got to this point. And it's not always gonna be flattering to them. And I said to him, like, I know you're gonna want to be like even-handed about this, at least in your own mind, and try to bring up stuff with me. But I've tried to reimburse you, I've tried to pay you back, I've tried to help, and that sort of thing. But it's not even necessarily a matter of, oh, this person does X, that person does Y. It's more like they need to understand this whole process, and sort of the forensic analysis. I didn't use forensic analysis as a term. Probably should have, but it's sort of like they need to understand how we got here, and they need to understand that they can't be like pushing you, and expecting that you're always just going to be there and you can just go do this and go do that, and they can just burden you with all this stuff, and that you'll just that you'll um go and go and go until you can't go anymore, and then you'll drop dead, and then I'll be there waiting in the wings to jump in and do the same thing over again. They have to understand that, it's sort of like it's almost like the concept of, and I didn't use this, but it's almost like that people think, say that, the one resource you have, which is finite, which you can never get back, you can never renew, is time. And it's almost kind of like that, but looking at it from, okay, it's not some inanimate concept or object or idea. It's a person, and they need to understand that sort of stuff. They need to understand how we got here. And I mean, I've had to understand my role in it all, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. But ultimately, like, I'm hoping that nothing I told him is gonna stress him out and cause some sort of problem, because, like, there's all this sort of thought in the back of your head, like, okay, what are the effects of what I say or do, and if I tell him something that I feel that he needs to know, but it's not pleasant or not, whatever, edifying, is that going to cause him to, have some spike in his blood pressure and, all the stuff, you sort of think about root cause analysis, and is it going to lead from that root cause to all these other problems? That and what else? I don't know. I felt the need to inform him, to just check up on him, inform him, and, like, um let him know of some things. But you know, I always had this sort of concern in the back of my mind, and to that end, I mean, I have to go. I have to go in a short bit. Drop myself off my room. Probably grab some food. Maybe take a shower. I wish I had been here a few hours earlier, because I could have gotten a lot of other stuff done. I was able to catch up on, actually get all the stuff that I was trying to get done yesterday, and so I'm on target right now. But geez, what else was I gonna say? Oh, I think the point that one other point I was trying to make to my dad was that, like, so much of my issues with these things are not me being on one person's side or another, because I'm not against my mom, I'm not against my sister, I'm not against my dad, I'm not against myself. Um, but I'm looking at, maybe because of the distance and the time, I'm able to look at it a little more impartially and not be so emotional in my reaction. But I wanted to get that sort of understanding across. This is like years ago when we had a bunch of bad stuff happen in the family. We had to operate in crisis mode, but it's not sustainable. And we had to do things a certain way back then, but it doesn't work now. But I was gonna say something. I forgot. I'm probably gonna be kicking myself later. Maybe I'll have to do that in tomorrow's, no fap update video. But anyways, the other thing I need to explain is, earlier, the reason I was looking over was because it looked like a homeless lady bicycle, and she was like, had a light on and was kind of like looking at somebody else's car and their license plate. And given that several months ago I had my back license plate stolen, I was kind of looking at her suspicious, like, okay, what is she doing? She dropped something? And then she was kind of going around to some of the other cars and looking. I'm thinking, like, okay, like, is she trying to figure out she can steal the license plate? That sort of deal. And it's stuff that's on my mind now because I've had it happen to me, and I really don't think it was this neighborhood it happened. I thought it was like at work, because at the time I was like parked way in the back of the parking lot at my old workplace, and middle of the night shift. I mean, people can just roll on through and steal stuff. And I know one of my coworkers from the day shift, he had his car broken into twice over there, because he was parked way in the back like I was. So I think it happened there. But I see something like that going on, I kind of like, I'm like, get a little suspicious and like, oh, what's going on here? Be observant, but try not to be too obvious. But anyways, coming up on 20 minutes, and what was I gonna say? It was something. I don't know. I'll probably figure it out after I finish recording, and maybe after I get inside. But anyways, anybody out there is just watch this video and that sort of thing. Thanks, and my subscribers and people following me, supporting me, that sort of thing. Really appreciate it, and I will hopefully planning to see you guys again tomorrow in the morning. So thanks for watching, and bye bye.